Hi-ho everyone, my name's Mr. Fruit and welcome to this video. It's a strange video, never really thought I'd make a video like this because you're all wondering what happened, where did I go, why did I disappear? And I'm here to answer that, more or less. January 25th, 24th, date doesn't matter. About 2.5 weeks ago, I disappeared. By disappeared, I did make a community post on our channel. And I did tweet, if you're ever curious about what's going on with me, if there's ever usually an announcement to be made, at the very least, I'll tweet about it. So, Mr.Fruit YT, if you don't go check that out, wow. Managed to get a shameless plug, like what, 30 seconds in to my first upload back. Hopefully, you guys are watching this. I have been a little worried, because I've never wanted to take a break. Because I'm like, what if I take a break and then YouTube's just like, you know what, we're just gonna not let anyone know you upload videos anymore. Or everyone's like, Mr. Fruit, who? Forgot about him. You know how the internet works. Everyone's got like the memory of a goldfish, myself included. So, but this break was not planned, which is why there wasn't like an announcement, because in the future, if I ever take a break, you'll have a heads up. It won't just be like, poof, I'm gone like that. It was an event that happened that I hadn't foreseen happening. It was sudden, and it required my full attention. So because of that, I stepped back from most things in my life, especially I had to take a break from work. I just had to. And that had taken about 4 or 5 days. But during that, I had time because I wasn't working. It was bizarre. There's so much time in the day. And from that, I learned there is a lot to unpack when it comes to Christian, which is my name. It's weird to say. Outside of Mr. Fruit, there's Mr. Fruit and there's Christian, and how do those play into Mr. Fruit? Because as I had more time, you would think, wow, I've got so much time, I can do anything. I didn't do much because I don't know how to not work, which some people are like, oh bro, I wish I had that problem. It's not healthy. So I was trying to unpack the fact that there are good things about liking my work and wanting to work a whole bunch. Because I'm passionate. I like what I do. I'm fortunate enough to be able to do this. But on the other hand, wanting to do it all the time isn't necessarily healthy, and not all of the reasons are good. Like, not all of the reasons are, well, I love what I do. It's also because if I'm working, my brain can't wander off and think about other things. And somewhat, it's a coping mechanism. I also feel like I always have to be creating something, and I can't let my mind sit still. So there's a whole bunch to this unhealthiness as well, and I was trying to unpack all that, and I did some, but Lord knows there's plenty more. That's why the break lasted a little bit longer, because some people were like, oh my, like, what if he never returns? How long is it gonna be? I didn't specify then, but I definitely knew at the time it wasn't gonna be an elongated, a long amount of time. For all you know, like, this is it, boom. Because some creators in the past on this platform and others have just kind of poof, disappeared. That was not my intention, and it will never be my intention. If this thing ever does end, there will be a proper send-off. But hopefully that never happens. Well, it will. I mean, let's be honest, it's inevitable. Whether it's a year from now, 5 years from now, 20 years from now, maybe I'm old, decrepit, dying on my deathbed, and I'm like, hey, ho everyone. And you're like, oh, okay, well, rest in pieces. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't have to worry about that. Again, I love what I do. But also what I realized is it's like a puzzle I've slowly been solving. You know, imagine you're making a puzzle, but you didn't know what it is beforehand. And you're piecing things together, and you're like, I kind of see where this is going. I recognize this little part of the puzzle. I wonder what I think I have an idea of what the rest of the image is. I'll keep piecing things together, and they're like, I didn't know about that. That's kind of a metaphor for what it's been for me for the past like year, half a year to a year, essentially, is I knew something was wrong in the essence that, especially mentally, struggling with work in a way that I hadn't before. And I say that in a way because grinding it came so easy early on in my career. And I think it's understandable, and a lot of people can say the same thing, but burnout is real. And I was like, bro, I'm never burning out. And I thought that until one day I just woke up and it wasn't that same gusto. And it wasn't just like a switch. It was like a slow burn. And one day I'm finally realizing, wait a second. This is what's going on. This is why this is what feels off. And that's kind of what happened, especially right before Among Us popped off, funnily enough. I started to take a little time back, step back, was like, I'm going to just single upload for now to take some time, try and work on my work-life balance, which honestly, I'd started to make some good progress. And then Among Us came and all that hype. And I tried to manage my expectations, and then it blew up. And I was making sure to be like, hey, this is temporary. Enjoy it while you can. It's just numbers. But then suddenly, you're like, but this isn't performing as well. Numbers are going down. Oh, I can't keep this. How do I maintain this? What if I try to prepare myself, and I almost like to a T said like, hey, you either do this or this is what's going to happen. So I tried to do this, and the same thing happened, in where I'm stressed about things, down on myself, up in the old noggin, which is what I'm trying to work on, the rhetoric up there. Be a little nicer to myself, talk nice to myself. And I know it sounds silly, but genuinely try and phrase things a little bit differently. Like for me, for instance, this is just a tangent, but when I first started working out, for me it was literally what helped me was not, I have to go to the gym today. Like if I'm talking to somebody or I'm telling myself like, oh, I have to go to the gym today, it's I get to go to the gym today. And even just that little bit, like don't just say it once, but keep saying it, and then suddenly you're gonna realize like you start to almost trick yourself into believing it. But anyway, that's a tangent aside the point. I like to word vomit and get on tangents, so forgive me. I'll try and keep this back on the tracks. I don't have a piece of paper or anything to outline what I wanted to talk about, so figured our first video back should be a little more candid, just me talking to you right there. Because at the end of the day, we have some fair weather subscribers or viewers, fans, whatever you'd like to call them, come and go with certain seasons, content, games, all that kind of stuff. But I know I have a core audience that's always there for me, which is always hard to wrap my head around, but I'm so grateful for that. But essentially what happened was I did all this introspection, and I realized the way I'm going about working and my life right now is just not healthy. And really, I've ignored pretty much everything outside of work for the past like 6 years of my life, which isn't good. I'm trying to work on that. I can't enjoy free time, which I view free time as it's time not working or working out. I see those as things I gotta do, and I love to do, and I'm fortunate to do. But then when I'm not doing those, I have a hard time existing almost, which is why it was so hard to be idle for so long. Like, trust me, I wanted to work. I wanted to come back. But that's when I realized, like, wait a sec. Okay, we didn't see this break coming. I certainly didn't see it coming. And if it wasn't for that, Lord knows I probably would have never taken an actual break. I wouldn't have had the balls to do it. Be like, hey, I'm cutting it. Like, 2 weeks. I don't think I could do that. Maybe now that it happened, I could in the future, and I'll give you all a heads up. I had to just sit there and stew and brew on things, and that was scary. I know that sounds stupid. What? Scary? Bro, up here, it can be rough, all right? Your own worst enemy is yourself. I was fighting my brain. We were throwing hands. You know what I'm saying? Me and myself, my shadow self. Because as you all know, that's the thing. I'm pretty transparent about a lot of things too. I guess the question most people want to answer is like, well, what happened? I'm not comfortable talking about it because, like I just mentioned, I'm very transparent about almost everything in my life. But also, for the sake of my mental health, this is going to sound weird, but Christian and Mr. Fruit have slowly molded together for me. I know it sounds weird, but sometimes it's hard to discern what is what. And if I shared everything, it would almost violate certain, and it would confuse things. So some things, some personal things, I just got to keep separate. This is one of those things. But it's nothing bad. Nobody's dead. Nothing like that. I'm okay. So just know it's good. What happened is fixed. It's great. So then it was just a matter of, me fighting myself. Because I haven't quite felt like myself. And like I've said plenty of times before, I suffer with depression. And unfortunately, it's not like seasonal depression or anything. It's just, that is me. I'm depressed. Chemically, I got some imbalances and all this kind of stuff. It is what it is. Combining that with some other stuff, like, I've always had an inkling that I have some sort of like ADHD, but it never felt debilitating until recently, where I'm noticing a lot more that I think I need to get a hold on that too. Because that's the tough part too, is like, it's rarely ever just depression. That's like the layer, and then you peel it off and you're like, wait, oh, there's a whole bunch of other stuff contributing to it. Great example is my migraines. I've never had migraines in my life. Cue last November. Well, not anymore because It's 2021. Good Lord. November 2019, I get a migraine for the first time. I mean, this is terrible. And then I get it the next day. And then I have another one the next day. I'm like, what's going on here? I go to see a doctor. It's like, they're cluster migraines. I'm like, cool, but I don't get those. Like, I've never had these. They came out of nowhere. And then for whatever reason, about every 3 weeks, practically like on the mark, on whatever, I can't think of the phrase, on cue, let's go with that, cluster migraines, couple days. Like, I start to feel one, I'm like, I'm gonna feel like this for a couple days, boom. But like, I went to doctors, we did this, that, looked everywhere, couldn't find any reason as to why I was getting these. Turns out, I'm having jaw issues, right? As you know, I wear a splint now. We're working on fixing my jaw. It's not good. But I finally go in, I get the splint, starts to help my jaw pain. I can finally chew again and stuff. And what do you know? I haven't had a migraine since I got the splint in, which was October. So at this point, I've been about 4.5 months migraine free, which is great. 5.5, I don't even remember. Because it turns out that's what was happening. The muscle here can often, when there's pain and stuff, it runs up. It can upset and aggravate this, which in turn can lead to a migraine. And we just never thought to connect the dots. So it's kind of like that. On the outset, we see, hey, here's a problem. This is probably what's causing it. But then that's not the case. Turns out it's this completely unrelated thing that turns out to not be unrelated, but you just never connected the two. And that's kind of what I'm working on right now. It's trying to unpack and figure out and lay it all out, like, okay, what are my issues? I got a lot of them. What can I work on? What can't I do? And if I can't do something about it, and I say that like, you know, physically, like, you know, it's not a problem I can just solve. Okay, well then mentally, how can I frame it in my mind differently so that, you know, if I sit here and I tell myself, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this, you know, and it's, you know, this pear. I keep telling myself, I hate pears, I hate pears, I hate pears, I hate pears. I love pears. But if I keep looking at it and I keep hating it, eventually I might convince myself, like, yeah, you know what? I hate pears. But that's not the truth. So I need to just start loving myself a little bit more and working on a lot of things. There's quite a bit. So the skinny of it, I rambled plenty. Apologies. I'm struggling. I'm a human being. And I think it's always hard for me to admit that, especially when it comes to my work. I'm very proud of my work. I take pride in how much I work, which again is a good and a bad thing. But my work ethic, I got from my parents, you know, grind hard, you want to earn it, work for it, that kind of thing. And I think it's served me well in a sense that, you know, I've gotten to a place that I'm able to do the job that I have, but it came at a price that I didn't necessarily see immediately. And that's what's kind of been the slow burn, kind of like my jaw, you know. Technically, I'd had jaw issues for a while, but never realized until it was like at the climax, when it all fell apart at the same time, that I was like, oh, something's wrong here. And that's kind of what happened here. I kind of let it come to a boiling point. And so hopefully I can do better about that, because, you know, mentally I've been better about my depression and being able to recognize when I'm getting to that point and trying to mitigate that. But now I have to also realize I have to do that in my work. And sometimes working more isn't always the answer, because that's what I used to do. So I'm trying to take care of myself. You guys need to take care of yourself. I know, like, physically, I'm up there. You know, I've been working out for years now, dieting. I drink plenty of water. I talk with a therapist. I take meds. You know, I have a lot of that stuff. I get plenty of sleep. I have bedtime. I get at least 8 hours of sleep. You know, all that kind of stuff. But that doesn't just solve the issue. Like, clearly it doesn't work for me. It helps. I know it helps. But it's not just physical stuff. It's mental stuff. And I think that can be some of the hardest stuff. So hopefully, the reason I've always opened up about my depression is to be transparent with a lot of you, and hopefully make some of you realize, hey, maybe that's me. Or, hey, that kind of sounds like my friend. Maybe I can help him out. Or maybe I can help myself. And I think that's the biggest thing is, you know, remove this taboo around mental health, which I think the world's been doing a better job in these past years, decade especially. And so that's kind of it. I'm human. I'm struggling. I just needed some time away. But I'm ready. I'm back. Part of the issue, too, was realizing I was in a creative rut. That was also part of it. Where, you know, like a lot of people will tell you, especially like artists and that kind of stuff, after doing it for a while, they see it differently. They don't think their work is valued as much. They're not as happy with it. they can't come up with new ideas, and they feel like they always have to iterate and one-up themselves. That's how I feel with my content, and I didn't initially realize that was the problem. And that's probably why I've been trying to iterate and change things for so long in this past like 6 months without realizing that's what I'm trying to do. The thing is though, like I feel refueled. I feel way better about where I am with my channel and stuff than before. And hopefully I can keep that up. Hopefully this video served some purpose. Hopefully the channel didn't die. You know, hopefully some of you came back. Content is on the way. Ironically, we're going back to daily uploads on the main channel. And then there will still be uploads on the Minecraft channel. So now we're doing more, but I'm working on my work-life balance. I'm actually going to try and take weekends off because I've never had days off in the past like 7 years. I kid you not. I work every day, all the time. So I think that's a good starting point, is giving myself some more time to step away from it all. And from there, you know what? This is a journey. You and me are in this together. I greatly appreciate you guys. I love you all. Thank you very much for watching. And I don't want to drag on, so I'll see you guys in the next video.